Hello, my name is Austin Habish, the founder of Think Catholic, and you're listening to the Summa Theologica podcast, where we study St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologiae in a way simple and insightful for anyone to understand. The Summa Theologica podcast is brought to you by Think Catholic. Taking two questions of the Summa a day, we'll seek to summarize St. Thomas's responses, discovering the brilliance of Aquinas and his Catholic faith is day 265. So let's get started. We're covering today questions 15 and 16 of the supplement to the Summa, that is, of the means of making satisfaction and of those who receive the sacrament of penance. The translation that I always use in these podcasts is the one generously provided to me by Ave Maria Press, the 5-volume set translated by the Fathers of the English Dominican province, which you can now get at a discounted price from Ave Maria Press's site by typing in the code SUMMA10. And so here we go. Article 1. Whether satisfaction must be made by means of penal works. A fascinating article beginning with a word from St. Thomas. Compensation for an offense implies equality, which must needs be between the offender and the person he offends. Now, equalization in human justice consists in taking away from one that which he has too much of and giving it to the person from whom something has been taken. Okay, so when someone steals a $20 item from the local store, justice demands that he give back that item or give back its value. And actually, we demand even more than that in restitution, because not only did he depart from justice in the thing taken, but also in the malice of his will, which caused him to take the thing in the first place. In the same way, when we steal some willful pleasure contrary to the law, justice now demands we make right with the lawgiver, which is God, who we offended in our sin. And we cannot give back in the sense of taking back the sin, it's already happened. And thus we must give back by suffering for the sake of the law. Why again? Because when we sin, we depart from justice precisely for the sake of gratifying some desire, and so we must return by the opposite way. Therefore, Aquinas concludes, therefore, in order that a work be satisfactory, it needs to be good, that it may conduce to God's honor, and it must be penal, so that something may be taken away from the sinner thereby. As a final note here, if a man take a cold shower, for example, to put back for the times he indulged his will in sins, yet wants to take the cold shower for the glory of God, he wants to do this. The fact that his will is in it, so to speak, he's willing this cold shower for the love of God, does not diminish its satisfactory nature, because as a human being, just according to our bodily nature, the cold is not going to be pleasant. And thus it is of a penal nature, the cold shower, and will actually be more satisfactory or compensating for one's sins the greater one's love is in doing it, since the goodness of the act will be greater and the merit greater. Article 2, whether the scourges of the present life are satisfactory. St. Thomas draws a distinction for us here between mere acts of vindictive justice, that's like the judge sentencing the murderer to life in prison, versus satisfactory acts, like a man willing to throw himself in prison for life to make atonement for his act of murder. Satisfactory acts have our acceptance, our resignation in them. That's the key element St. Thomas focuses on here. It's what separates them from simple punishment. It is a voluntary taken punishment, or at least a voluntarily accepted, willfully resigned to punishment. And thus, as we accept the scourges of God's discipline in this life and bear them with love for Him, and to make amends with Him, these scourges take on a satisfactory character. As Aquinas puts it, consequently, if the scourges which are inflicted by God on account of sin become in some way the act of the sufferer, they acquire a satisfactory character. Now, they become the act of the sufferer insofar as he accepts them for the cleansing of his sins by taking advantage of them patiently. Article 3, whether the works of satisfaction are suitably enumerated. And they are in Matthew 6, where Jesus says, when you pray, when you fast, when you give alms. The first of all these defends us against the lust of the flesh, that's fasting. The other, almsgiving, against the lust of the eyes, which is greed, and then prayer against the pride of life. As Aquinas puts it, every sin is committed either against God, and this is prevented by prayer, or against our neighbor, and this is remedied by almsdeeds, or against ourselves, and this is forestalled by fasting. And these acts also have a satisfactory or penitential nature, as St. Thomas teaches, because we have but three kinds of goods, bodily, spiritual, and goods of fortune or external goods. By almsdeeds, we deprive ourselves of some goods of fortune, and by fasting, we retrench goods of the body. As to the goods of the soul, there is no need to deprive ourselves of any of them, either in whole or in part, since thereby we become acceptable to God, but we should submit them entirely to God, which is done by prayer. And this is a great article to take to prayer. And I cannot stress enough how important it is for us to live daily this daily rule or regimen from Matthew 6, a day, a lifetime of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving every day for our own spiritual protection and satisfaction of our own sins. And now we turn to question 16 of those who receive the sacrament of penance. Article 1, whether penance can be in the innocent. Just like a man can have the habit or the quality of fortitude, even if he has no opportunity to carry out the act of fortitude, risking his life in battle, so too can the virtuous man have the disposition or the quality to penance, even if he's totally innocent and has no need to make satisfaction for his own sins, having no sins, hypothetically speaking. Article 2, whether the saints in glory have penance. And a sentence from St. Thomas, the cardinal virtues will remain in heaven, but only as regards the acts which they exercise in respect of their end. Wherefore, since the virtue of penance is a part of justice, which is a cardinal virtue, whoever has the habit of penance in this life will have it in the life to come. But he will not have the same act as now, but another, vis-a-vis thanksgiving to God for his mercy and pardoning his sins. Article 3, and our last article, whether an angel can be the subject of penance. Beginning with the definition of the virtue, St. Thomas tells us, penance is taken as a virtue, and in this way its acts consist in the detestation of evil done, together with the purpose of amendment and the intention of expiating the evil or placating God for the offense committed. Okay, so this does not exist in the damned, who have neither the purpose of amendment nor the intention of expiating their evil or placating God for the offense. They surely mourn their mournful state in hell, insofar as their nature will always be drawn to God, long for God naturally, yet they do not do penance on account of their wicked wills, which are set against God as against an enemy. Different from this, the blessed angels, insofar as they possess penance as a virtue, they have it, although they have no cause to exercise it, having never sinned themselves. Thus they have no evil done, which they need to then expiate. And with that, we close another episode. We have just finished covering questions 15 and 16 of the supplement to the Summa, that is, of the means of making satisfaction of those who receive the sacrament of penance. My name is Austin Habish with Think Catholic, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.